And we exponentially grew like that because we're just bouncing ideas off of each other.
That's so crazy. I mean, like, what's up, guys? Today we have a special guest, Brian Divila. He's a house flipper, wholesaler, he owns rentals, he does it all. But he's a coach and partner at Wealthy Investor with Brian Pineda. Welcome to the show, bro.
Aloha. I love the shirt.
I just so appreciate having you on. I mean, like, you're a beast in the industry. I mean, like, you obviously have like a crazy cool story of like rags to riches, and like you're crushing the game. But I think like you bring a really unique perspective because you're not only an investor, but you're a coach and to like many other investors. So I just feel like that would be like a really cool kind of like thing to kind of dive into.
Yeah, I've thought about that. Like I feel like I have a unique situation because I almost get to learn exponentially faster because I'm just seeing like thousands of people come in and out, I see what works. I see what doesn't work. I see people burn out. I see people go bankrupt. I see people get rich.
The thing is, and so like you're behind the scenes too. Like the thing is like, so you have like how many students are in the program right now?
There's probably like an active 1,000 to 1,300.
Okay. So active. Over 1,000 active real estate investors, right? And they're all trying to like grow, they're all trying to do their thing. So you get to see the ones that are doing well, the ones that are kind of struggling, and the ones that are failing or doing nothing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And at the same time, though, because you're behind the scenes with like Ryan Pineda on like these WealthCon conferences, you can see all the big dogs and what they're doing too. So you have like this really unique perspective where you get to see the ultras of sex, so like Grant Cardone, you got like Pace Morby, I mean all those guys, and but then all the little guys who are also like on their journey up as well too.
100%. So. That's my favorite part is like seeing the guys come in that were like nothing, and then them come up and turn into something. That is my favorite part for sure.
So I mean, like, walk us through maybe like when somebody joins like a coaching program. Like, what's the typical kind of progression that you see?
Well, okay, so there's probably like 3 avatars.
Okay.
So there's people that come in and they don't know nothing about real estate, and then they literally just do nothing. So they join, they never make it to a coaching call, or they make it to one, and then they completely just vanish.
So this is the guys like they come in, they pay like a big sum of money to join the coaching program. They have no real estate experience. And then they don't ever go on a coaching call like for something like
or they come in for a little bit and they just fall off.
But I mean, like, what do you think is going through this guy's mind, or what do you think that happens?
Honestly, it's just a lack of focus. I mean, I know everyone's busy and everyone has life circumstances that come in. So
sometimes I feel like when you're just starting, like it feels so overwhelming. Like you don't know where to start. Like, should I look at the contract? Should I listen to the accountability call? Like, what do I do? Like, you know, like that.
So I feel like anyone, whether you're in the coaching program or you're not, the first thing that you should do is just start looking for leads.
Okay.
Yeah, because you could spend a lot of time reading the contracts and learning and listening and all these things, but the reality is for people who are just starting, I feel like the window of you actually going for it is not forever. Most of the time, if someone quits their job, which a lot of people do, they only have like 3 to 4 months.
Or they have to go back and get another job.
Exactly.
I mean, like your savings only going to go so far.
Exactly.
Or you're going to get discouraged.
Or you're going to give up. So that's why I usually try to get people on the phones or prospecting as quickly as possible, even before they learn all the things, because you're not going to get a deal just learning. And I think a lot of people fall into like the learning stage where they're just trying to learn things
without actually taking action, right? So like they're just learning, but they're not actually going out there and actually trying to do something with their knowledge.
Exactly. Have you seen that with like your team members?
I mean, I think that's common where like you feel like you're unprepared because like you feel like you don't know enough to take the next step. But then a lot of these steps are like just have phone calls with sellers. You're gonna fumble the calls, but like that's just part of the process. And as you fumble, you'll kind of like learn more and more.
Exactly.
For me, I think it took me like when I first started breaking into Hawaii, it took me like literally like 9 months before I got my first deal. But during that process, I fumbled a bunch of like sellers, and like literally, if I had the knowledge I had today, I would probably close like 3 deals in that time. But I was like, I didn't know what to say. I actually had one other contract that fell out. I was like super heartbroken, man, because I was like, dude, this is like gonna be like my first deal. And then it was on the contract, right? And and then I don't know, like it was just my inability to
close.
Basically close and maybe be credible and a lot of different things. And so like I think it's part of the process, but you have to kind of take those steps in order to kind of get there.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. First, you don't know what a lead is. You don't know what's good from down. Then you understand leads, and then you get contracts, but then the contracts don't close. And then you eventually get to like closing.
So the most important part when you're just starting out as an investor is just finding good deals, right? Like just focus. I mean, people finding focus on money. People focus on like the properties and the property management, all these different things, but finding the deals is like number one priority. And then in order to find a deal, there's the leads and then there's the sales of closing them. So it's like kind of like those two parts. And
so that's why most beginner people, they should just leverage a closer and just focus on leads. Because then if you get a lead and you take it to someone like yourself in Hawaii who actually knows what to do, the chances of you making money is significantly higher than you thinking you're gonna negotiate it, get it under contract, wholesale it or flip it and make a profit. Like it's better to just partner with someone that has experience.
The challenge is if you're new, like you feel like you don't want to share because like you want to keep the money, right? Because like if you partner with it, now you're giving you're like a big part of or more possibly depending on like the situation. And then so it's like, why would I give away like all this money when I can just take the whole thing myself? But a lot of times, like, so for me, like I wish I partnered earlier because those ones that I fumbled, I would have at least made something or probably a good chunk compared to zero.
And you would have exponentially learned faster because you were watching and paying attention to what they're doing.
That's the big part too. Is like when you partner with somebody on these things, like be there, listen to how they approach, how they do the close, how they do the things, and ask questions as they're going through it because you learn so much more by going through it than as opposed to just like reading it on a online course or something.
Yeah.
Right? So.
I also think that like real estate investors, they're learning two different things at the same time when they start.
Okay, explain that.
First, they're learning just basic real estate.
Okay. Yeah,
so like, what the hell does escrow do? How do loans work? Basic, like what is FHA? What is conventional? What's a hard money loan? Like all these things. And then on top of that, they have to learn real estate investing, which includes like sales and marketing. So cold calling, batch leads, texting, cost per lead, you know, all these different niche real estate investment things. Where like I came in as a realtor, so I already knew how to buy and sell a house because I helped other people do it. So that part didn't make me nervous. Where, and then I just had to learn this part, and I still partnered in the beginning with people because I was just like not confident and I just didn't know. And I was in that like thinking about it stage for so long that I eventually just gave up and partnered with someone.
That's a really good point. I feel like I didn't think about this before, but like like when you're brand new, they're so daunting because there's so much in the real estate side to just learn about just the process to buy a house. And then there's a whole part of like the leads, closing, the sales process, which is completely different, but then they're so related because you need both of them in order to be successful.
Exactly. And then I think like, so when I first started in just real estate, like I remember I was at Berkshire Hathaway as like a real estate brokerage.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, you know, I'm in real estate. It's gonna be great. I'm at a club one day and I meet a loan officer.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, you know, we're in the club. He's like, yeah, I have the best FHA loans, you know, in the state. And I'm like, oh man, I got this great connection. This guy could do the best FHA loans. I get his card and I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, dude, this is like my back pocket. Every time I talk to a client, I'm like, yeah, my lender, he could do the best FHA. When FHA, there's only like, you know, they can't do much. It's just the loan. Same thing with title company. I had a title company like, yeah, we could close deals as little as 7 days. I'm like, damn, I'm gonna keep this in my back pocket, you know? So yeah, you're just learning like real estate and then REI, sales and marketing, you know, what is a wholesaler and that specific niche.
So I mean, like you in your story, like briefly, like you were, how did you kind of get started as a realtor in the very beginning?
So just like really briefly, I was just working 2 jobs. I owned a barber shop. It was failing. And while it was failing, I was sitting there and I met someone that came in. He had a nice Nixon watch and a Mazda. I'm sure you heard the story before. And I was like, this guy's balling. And he said he made $50,000 a year as a realtor. And I was like, all right, that's what I want to do. I want to get into real estate. So yeah,
it's crazy how your perspective has changed since then, because you're like, he's got a Nixon watch and
yeah,
a Mazda
yeah,
and 50K. Dude, like, this guy's insane. Like, what do you do for a living?
Exactly, yeah. And he was at the barber shop around like 12 or 1. So I was like, it's the middle of the day and this guy isn't working. Like, this guy's balling. Yeah. What got you into real estate? I don't even know.
I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. It was like the magical book that I was like, I was working as a software developer, and then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then like the whole idea of like real estate investing, like biggest thing was passive income. That whole idea where you can actually like earn and not work. Like that concept literally blew my mind. I didn't even know that was possible. Like, you know, like, it was like a identity crisis. Like, this is like available in the world, like, you know, so like then from there, that's what kind of like jump started the whole journey. So.
Yeah. So with my podcast, I've been doing it for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
And we do 2 episodes a week.
Okay, that's insane, by the way.
Yeah. But the number one reason most of these investors got into real estate is Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I'm like, how? I don't even understand. I've read the book, but after I read it, I was already in real estate.
Okay, so it probably hits different than
it hit different, but literally I've had the biggest investors and almost I would say solid 7 to 6 out of 10 are like Rich Dad Poor Dad.
It's insane. Like that book, like it's like the Bible. Like, it's like
it literally like
investors. Literally like changed my life. It's crazy.
Yeah. So. I'm like, man, it's so funny. And I guess like he did sell courses and stuff. I'm sure he just made bang, because I'm like, how many people freaking, like, for me it was bigger pockets because I was a realtor. Okay. And then I was like, all right, like I want to buy houses as rentals. So it was bigger pockets that.
Well, bigger pockets. So I mean, Rich Dad Poor Dad, that was just like the introductory drug. Yeah. Bigger pockets was my entire education for the first like couple years. Like all the books, the forums, and back then there wasn't like a community like Wealthy Investor, and so the best place to be was on the Bigger Pockets forums, where you had a community of other investors you could collaborate and talk with, and so like, that was really helpful for me. So I think a community is so important when you just getting started, and it's like the web. It can just be like your local RIA. It could be on online Bigger Pockets forums. It could be joining a coaching mentorship program like Wealthy Investor. But like they're just, you need to get around other people who are doing it to kind of like supercharge your growth. I think.
Yeah, so, I think Did you see my presentation at WealthCon? Yeah, where I was like, it's secret sauce community. Yeah, and it sounds so basic. Yeah, but. I interviewed an acquisition person today, right? He great guy, smart guy, knows the business, closed deals, and then he closed his business in 2 years, right? He came in, was doing it, and then a whole wholesaling business and closed it.
What do you mean close it?
He started it, he was closing deals, and then he just closed the business. He just stopped, you mean? Yeah. And he quit because he lacked community. He was just like, dude, I'm just like
a solo guy by himself.
Exactly. Yeah. He didn't have other people to talk to. He wasn't like, he had issues with like his leads getting so expensive, and he ended up like closing. So I think like, even though it sounds so basic, like you cannot scale your business by yourself. It just doesn't work.
I feel like that's like it applies to like every area of life. Whether like let's say you're playing a sport, like let's say you're playing golf, you can't just play golf by yourself, right? Like going to church, like having connection with God, you can't just do it by yourself. You need a community. And then so business and real estate is like no different. Where like 100%. You need a community. So there's a lot of different ways it can look, but it has to be a community that you're a part of.
Even like so my golf game, I have a coach. He's important, but then I also have like my 2 or 3, I'll say Javi, Brandon, and Aaron. Yeah. Those are the guys that I go golf with all the time that I'm like, dude, let's go. And they're consistent. And, you know, we're sitting there playing with each other. We're competing with each other. They're just as important as my coach. I can't just have a coach and then think, oh, well, I'm not going to show Brandon and Aaron what I'm doing. Because then, you know what I'm saying? But people literally think like that. They're like, I'm not going to tell them that I'm cold calling. It's like, bro, fucking everyone's cold calling. You might as well get over it and share, because the more you share, the more people will give back to you. But it took me a long time to like get that. I always wanted to like keep
It's funny,
everything.
I mean, now that you talk about that, so I used to be in golf, like super into golf for a while back. It was because all my buddies we also compete, like we play all the time together, and then long story short, a bunch of buddies for various reasons they stopped like playing golf, and then so I just stopped playing golf too because like all my friends stopped playing it. So it's kind of like if you don't have the community to kind of drive you and spur you on, it's very hard to just. There's like less motivation to just do it by yourself.
Exactly.
Like,
and I think when I became a realtor, I went to real estate school here in Vegas. There was a guy named John Sullivan. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he was in my class. He was a British dude.
Okay.
So funny, bro. He has like a funny accent too. He's like, "What up, mate? How's it going?" He's like, the first Saturday we worked, he was like, "Hey, mate, can I ask you a question?" He's like, "Why don't these bloody Americans work on Saturday and Sunday?" I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "I don't get it, bud." But anyways, me and him started at the same time, real estate, and every day at the end of the day, we would talk. We made a decision. Every day, we made a pact.
Yeah.
Every day for 15 minutes, I'm going to share what I learned. He's going to share what he learned. And it just exponentially like grew where I got my first deal and I'm like, "Oh, okay. So when you get your first deal, you have to put a deposit for the deal." And he's like, "Oh, okay, got it." Like just, and we exponentially grew like that because we're just bouncing ideas off of each other.
That's so crazy. I mean, like I can imagine a picture is where you just basically have like a little mini like accountability / idea bouncing, and like you're coaching him, he's coaching you, and as he coaches somebody else, you get better, and like, just like, and then you get the energy, the vibe. There's so many things that's going on when like you just make a decision like, let's just talk for 15 minutes every day. I feel like, so as a realtor, I mean, like, did you feel like that really helped you in your
100%.
journey?
And it's like, that's why we have, I don't know, I don't want to take credit for it, but I think Ryan and I both had the idea where it was like, oh, we should do accountability groups. Because if you want to get good at PPC and you know someone that wants to get good at PPC and you're serious and you're both testing things and you're going to just learn faster with no matter what it is. And that's the same with like faith. I want to get better at knowing the Bible. Like I went through the stage of just going to church and it's like a Sunday thing. And then I was like, all right, I want to get better at the Bible. So now me, Chris Lee, Michael Smith, and then Casey, we meet once a week for an hour and a half.
Wow. That's a good time.
We there's a discipleship book. We read the Bible for the chapters and verses. Then we come together and we discuss it. Exponentially know the Bible way more in a short amount of time just from like
it's so
hearing other people's ideas.
Exactly.
So no matter what, like what's something you want to get good at right now?
I mean, my new hobby, obviously besides business is I started to shoot some guns.
So if you get some gun friends.
That's the big thing is my friends got me into it, right? So like now I've got buddies who like, you're like, hey, like, and we talk strategy, we talk like equipment and stuff, and so it's like that communication back and forth where it just sparks like the enthusiasm and also it sparks like the learning and like it does like so many things. Like just as I'm processing through it, like hearing what you have to say, I mean, to me, just having an accountability buddy where you have the similar goals and you just talk 15 minutes every day, that's like so huge.
It is so huge. And people just like they think they could do it by themselves or they think they could watch YouTube, but even if I were to use golf as an example or even just real estate, I'd watch golf videos and they're like, oh, birdie this, but I'm like, I don't know what the hell they're saying. But then when I go out and I'm with someone, I can ask stupid questions and they can explain it to me in real time. And it's like, oh, okay, instead of me just thinking I'm going to figure it out online. There's no connection online. That's where the disconnection is, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, you even got me to the point. So I'm seriously thinking I'm gonna find a buddy like right now, and we're gonna have a 15-minute conversation every day, just so I can grow my business. And
you should. Because
I mean, like once a week is great. I have like another buddy that we meet once a week and just hold each other accountable to some goals. But I feel like 15 minutes phone call like every day. That's huge. That's huge.
Even so, our first mastermind at Ryan's house, I went up there and I talked about this. And he was like, you know what's funny? He used to meet with, I forgot the guy's name right now, but he's a big investor here in Las Vegas. He has a plane. I don't know if you know him, but he's a contractor. He also does deals in Kansas City. He's like a bald dude. I don't know if you know him, but he's like a big investor.
Okay.
But anyways, he was like, oh, like there was a season where me and this guy used to talk every day for 15 minutes. He would Ryan would take his dogs out for a walk and just do the call. And they would just debrief on what happened that day, what are they working on, and that was it. And it just helps.
So interesting.
Yeah.
So interesting. So I mean, like, so obviously, so like when you and your realtor buddy were doing these 15-minute calls, how did you do as a realtor those first couple
crushed
years?
it. Yeah, I crushed it and he crushed it. He lives in like a $4 million house right now, and he started from scratch.
So what did you make like your first couple years?
My first year, I was like 150. He was like 150 to 175. Okay. We were always like competing with each other.
Which is like the good thing is like it's a healthy, friendly competition. Where,
exactly.
Like, you want to destroy your friend, but he's still your friend. But but you want to see him succeed too. It's like you want to destroy him by being so much better, not by destroying him.
Exactly.
Down, right?
So. It's not fun if they ended up not making it. And there were times where me and him were competing for the same deals. There was times where I was kind of pissed because he was doing better than me, honestly. And there was times where he was pissed or I was doing better than him.
It gives you a fire and a burn. Like the competition in you, the dog comes out.
Exactly.
Right? So.
Yeah. And then when you're chilling, you're like, damn, he's working. I got to do this. So like, honestly, like, but now I love him. What was your biggest takeaway from WealthCon?
I mean, there was so many big ones, but I think one of the big ones for me was the making sure that people pay or see the sacrifice that you're making. So the example was that I think someone said he gave his employee, let's say like $12,000, right? So the check came in from title, and he just he just signed the check over to his employee, and it was like, here's $12,000 as a bonus or whatever. And the employee was like, okay, didn't really mean much to him because he felt like the person who gave it to him was rich, and like it wasn't like there was no like sacrifice involved in that thing, right?
Yeah.
Versus like, let's say that so he's and then that employee is no longer with him. But then the better way to do it is like actually take that $12,000, put it into his own bank account, and then he gave it to his next employee like as $1,000 a month raise over the next 12 months. And it's just like I think like anything in life where like if I'm just like, hey Brian, like I'm free all day. Like come anytime to my podcast. Like, and you're like, okay, that's cool. But I'm like, Brian, I'm so busy, bro. Like I got like dinners, I got stack. I'm meeting with Pace and things. But like, you're so valuable to me. I'm gonna like actually move back my meeting with Pace and fit you in because like you're so like I really value you. It's the exact same like situation, but then you'll be like, damn, like Daniel like really values me, and like this is worth so much. And so just the way that you are able to like frame or like share or give things to people makes a big difference. That's why like paying for like not charging for coaching is terrible because people like don't value it, right? But you're like when you charge people for coaching, now like they value it like so much more, you know. So.
What about? I think that's probably Dan Martell. It sounds like it might have been Dan Martell.
It was I mean, it was a combination of a bunch of different guys, but it was Pace.
Was that Pace on the podcast or?
It was in the back rooms, in the green rooms.
So I started doing that. So like even with new employees, you know, I'll make sure that they understand like, hey, like Daniel, you know, like I really like you a lot. You're great. You know, you don't really know a lot yet. And I'm kind of like sacrificing, you know, my time investing in you and teaching you skills, you know, because usually people hire someone that has these skills. But I really like you a lot. So I'm going to make sure that I invest my busy time into you and I'm paying you for it. And I make sure I tell them that. So that way they understand that like they're not doing me a favor. Like I'm actually doing them a favor. Where before like I didn't really express that. And after I did, they their frame completely changed. Where they're like, thank you so much. Like, you know, hey, I'm really trying to learn fast and that
like,
completely
and then
switched.
it's like a win-win. So it's like it might seem like manipulative, right? But it's so helpful because they are more engaged and they value it more. So like they're happier for it, and you're getting more out of it too, right? So and this is crazy thing is it applies in every area. So like when you're even talking to sellers, right? There's like, hey, like we only got so much money, so much projects, but we want to do your deal because we think like we want to like buy your house. And so like there's when you're framing to a seller, sometimes you can also say like, hey, like you're doing them a favor by like trying to like that what you're sacrificing in order to help them. Or even like the thing is like your wife on date night, you know, it's like, you know, honey, like oh man, like work is so like I'm so swamped, I got so much to do, but man, I love you so much, like I'm gonna just cut the day ends at 5 o'clock, and we're gonna hang out. And I'm not gonna work at work because I love you so much, right? Versus, I mean, that could be the truth.
Yeah.
But then, like, if you don't explain to them what you're sacrificing for them, they don't feel like it's not as valuable to what they get.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway from WealthCon was also backstage.
Okay.
So I got 2 big things. Can I share them with you?
Please.
Yes. So both were from Pace, actually. So, so when I first started in real estate, I was like always asking questions. I was like, what is this? What is that? What are you doing? What is this? And then now that I've been a coach for so long, I just kind of got away from that, or I kind of like knew and I would just guess.
Yeah.
So recently, when I was golfing, I was like, I'm going to get back to doing what I used to do. So I used to always have, I would say, mentors or people that I looked up to that were way further ahead of me. And I would ask them like, hey, and I'm not talking about like, oh, they flip houses more than me. I'm talking about like a 50-year-old or a 60-year-old. Like
life experience.
Life experience.
Life and business experience.
Yeah. But business. So I have coaches or mentors or people that I look up to in marriage and then in real estate and whatever. So real estate specifically, not just business. Real estate specifically. I was like, I'm gonna start asking people that are like 10 years older than me, right? So Pace is about 10 years older than me.
Okay.
So I asked Jamil and Pace.
Yeah.
And I forgot who else I asked. But anyways, I was like, hey, so if the most basic advice ever, right? The basic question. I was like, hey, like I'm 33, you're 41 or 43.
Yeah.
Like if you could give yourself advice, 10 years ago, what would it be?
Yeah.
And Pace and Jamil said the same thing in their own ways, but they were like, I wish I would have bought and held more real estate. He said the first 3 years of his career in real estate, and he started when he was 31 actually.
Yeah.
And I'm 33, and he started when he was 31. So I was like, okay. So he said that he would have started buying more houses sub 2 and buying more rentals.
Just to hold for
term. Yeah. He said if he would have bought more rentals the first 3 years, his net worth would be like so much higher.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn it. Like, I know it's true.
Yeah.
And so that was the first thing. They both said the same thing.
But the thing is, it's so hard because it takes like...
It's boring.
It's boring, and it's like you don't... It's like you...
There's no return.
The payoff is so far down the line that the delayed gratification is so far. It's like... I can't wait that long. Like I want to move faster. Like
exactly.
But I mean, like the same thing that Thatch does, and like that. Bunch of other guys. But like, and your 10 year later self would be like, thank God, Brian.
Yeah.
But then your 2 year later self is like, dude, what are you doing? You're wasting our time.
Like, I know. So they both said that, and I was like, damn it. Like I know it's true because it's basic, right? Like buy and hold more. So I was like, all right. And then I asked him, he was on my podcast. I'm actually, that's the first podcast I'm expediting to come out faster because it was so good. Well, he taught me 3 things. Okay. So number 1, buy more real estate, obviously hold.
Okay.
Number 2 is develop patience. So it kind of goes with number 1, but he said when he first started buying sub 2 deals, right? And I actually brought this up. I was like, dude, I know everyone kind of like talks crap about you and they say you buy houses for market value. And they don't you don't make any money.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, Brian, I'm so glad you brought this up. But I was saying it because I understood now why. Because so I heard about Pace before 2020, before the pandemic, all this stuff. I heard about him, right? And I heard he was buying houses for market value. And I was like, I don't get it. Like I just don't get, why would you buy a house for market value, right? In 2018 when he was on Disruptors. So I'm like, why would you do that? It's dumb. Like that's so dumb.
Why just buy a discount, right?
Yeah, why don't you buy exactly, So he was like, like everybody was saying that I was dumb and I'm buying a house for market value and that doesn't work. 6 years later, he has $400 million worth of real estate. He said he makes like $400,000 a month in passive income. He said his net worth is like millions and millions and millions of dollars
because all those stupid
market value houses that he was buying that didn't really cash flow
at the time, and then rents it goes up, and then inflation happens,
and then principal pay down and XYZ. I don't know if he talked about it on stage where he was just like, my CFO was telling me to sell this house. And then he was like, why are we going to sell? He's like, there's $700,000 in equity. Mm-hmm. That one, do you remember?
I don't think so, yeah.
So anyway, he bought a deal from a wholesaler in Phoenix. Okay. He paid the wholesaler $7,000, right? He bought the house sub 2. Inflation happened. The tenants just moved out of it like 5 years later. Okay. And the CFO was like, hey, we should sell this house. Like they were having a meeting. We should sell the house on Laguna. Yeah. And he's like, why? He's like, because it's vacant and there's $500,000 in equity. Yeah. And he's like, why would I sell it? Like you see it compounding.
Yeah.
And then he was like, that stupid wholesaler got $7,000, and if he would have just kept it, he would have $500,000. So just patience and understanding the long road, not the short road. I've definitely been very convinced or, focused on the short road. So understanding patience in the long road was like the second thing that I learned.
Really good. That's really, really good.
Yeah. The third thing that I learned from WealthCon was I was talking to Pace, and I had this conversation with Alex Hermosi at his workshop here in Vegas. And we were talking about doing multiple things and buying businesses, right? And I was like, well, I don't know if I should buy businesses because I run Wealthy Investor and I flip houses. I don't want to focus on multiple things at the same time. And then Pace was like, that multiple thing rule was made for stupid people. And he was like, he's like, all right, Daniel, when you're driving and you're on a turn right lane and there's a red light, but there's no cars coming, do you still go?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Because you're not an idiot. Okay. Right? That rule was made for stupid people that would turn right when cars were coming and get into accidents. So they put that there to protect the dumb people.
Yeah.
The same thing with focusing on one thing. They made that rule because some people went to events and tried to do multiple things and couldn't succeed. So they're like, dude, just do one thing. And the industry just adopted that as
like a general principle.
Exactly. As a general principle for beginner stupid people. And he was like, Brian, you're not stupid. Like, you know how to hire, you know how to do marketing, you know how to do sales, you know how to do leadership. There's all these things that you know how to do. Focusing it on one is slowing you down. And I was like, damn, like that makes so much sense. So now I think I'm going to be more open to trying multiple things at the same time.
The big thing I think is you just have to be aware of your bandwidth, because like you have to know what each business is gonna take, and then also what your current like load is. And so I think like when the challenge is whenever you're starting something new, like you don't know what it takes yet. And so like that. So like just going into it knowing like I don't know what the buying new business is gonna take. And then so like there's a possibility that I could be detracting from my flipping or my investor. Sure. So just be cognizant of that as you're going into it, is like, hey, this is it's kind of like don't like go too fast, too far, like on something on the
for sure.
Lines, like, you know,
but he talked about, because we were talking about making more money. And he was like, Brian, I'm buying this cleaning business. I don't know if he talked about it on stage.
No, I don't think
buying this cleaning business. Long story short, there's partners in the business.
Okay.
And I'm probably butchering the story, but you're gonna get the gist of it. There's partners in the business or whatever. They're gonna buy one partner out, and then they franchise their first cleaning business and made $55K off of it. To franchise, it costs $1,000, right? It doesn't cost them anything. So now they're getting half. They said the business brings in, let's just say it brings in $500K a year.
Okay.
They're investing like $150K into it. So within the first year, they can get all their money back. If the business stays as it is. Not including the franchising, not including if they help scale it, not including all the different things that could happen. He was like, to do that on a house, it's gonna take so many houses to make 150K a year in like income. So we just started talking about buying businesses and all this stuff. And like he was just like explaining to me how he'll leverage his team to buy out distressed business owners, or I didn't even think about the partnership thing, because there are a lot of partnerships where one partner's not doing anything.
Yeah, they just want to get him out.
And they get him out, get Pace and his team in. They're going to bring more value than the guy that's there that's not doing anything. So I was just like, bro, that's so smart. Like, I never even thought about that. So that was my other takeaway of just
I mean, so that whole private equity thing with like the roll-ups and the equity multiples, like there's an insane amount of money in that space. And so whenever you're looking at opportunities, right, like where's like the ceiling and the cap over here? And so, I mean, we actually, as our team was actually looking at that before, like in maybe like half a year ago, just like the buying small businesses and then doing the roll-ups for like, and then this is like, and if you look at so like they say like 90% of millionaires got their money through real estate or partially real estate, but 100% of like billionaires, or like a high percentage of billionaires are like private equity or like our big businesses, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then so like it's just like that space alone just has so much opportunity. So I mean, like we were actually like looking into a bunch of different like ways of how we could like leverage like our team and our small business like skills that we learned as a small business and try and buy some of these small businesses and do the same thing. Long story short is we never found a business that made sense for us, and then we just kind of started looking because like it was taking a big time of energy and focus on like doing these things, as opposed to, and then like my current flipping, I think, was taking a small hit because I was too scattered as far as like my time and attention. So that's just my own personal experience on that. So,
no, I definitely think it will take time away. But I feel like
the payoff is there. Because like the opportunity is bigger.
Exactly. And that's the same when I was a realtor. Eventually, I was just like, all right, my realtor business is gonna die.
Well, the thing is, like, it's actually a really good point, because when you're, let's say before you became a realtor, you're working at a casino, right? So you're like, okay, like this casino business is, I mean, like it's capped over here. Being a realtor, I can make this much more, right? And so like you left your casino like job to become a realtor, crushed it, by the way, 150 in the first year, and you were trying to make 50 like from that guy with the Nixon watch.
But so, I blew it away. So I was just like,
so you're crushing it. So you're crushing as a realtor. But then you saw a bigger opportunity, which is like it's like real estate investing. And then like so you basically like left behind like a great opportunity to chase a great opportunity. And so now like you're doing really well as a real estate investor and small and business partner and a wealthy investor. But then now you're like, hey, is there any bigger opportunities on the horizon?
Oh, there is.
Small business is like a bigger opportunity.
How many flippers do you know that just flipped houses all the way to the retirement and they're just great? How many do you know?
I mean, zero. I mean, like
exactly. So you have to kind of see the writing on the wall. The scalability of flipping and how much capital it takes. There's a ceiling. You know what I'm saying? There's a ceiling, and there is a point of diminishing returns where it's like, all right, well,
you can't scale past a certain point.
And it starts to become almost like dangerous at a certain point because if the market shifts, you're gonna give back millions of dollars that you've earned.
That's I never thought about that, but that's a really good point. But that's really interesting that you bring that up, because so we bought a Lamborghini, right? And so part of the reason is because we wanted to get the bigger rooms. So when we're in the Lamborghini cruise with all the other Lamborghini owners, all of them, they're either small business owners like the ACs, cleaning companies, or like whatever kind of like solar or whatever, or they're financial advisors who try to win their business. Like you know, so I mean, like those are the two people those are the people who are in the Lamborghini clubs or the supercar clubs. And so it's interesting because all the most successful guys, they're all small business owners. Like there's no other. I'm the only like real estate investor in the group. And so
So again, if you just look at the landscape of real estate, how many guys flipped houses to retirement? They have to buy rentals. Like that was my point. That was my first lesson. Like you have to buy rentals, and it sucks and it's not sexy. You're not gonna buy a rental and be like, man, I'm balling. Like this is great.
$200 a month. That's good.
But you'll end up like Alex Camacho with that freaking triplex that he bought. You know, he's selling it now for like $3 or I don't even know. I don't even.
$3 now.
you know, didn't really cash flow, probably took up more money, but the payoff is there. Or you have to go to where is there a historically evidence of people retiring or getting $100 million worth of rich. To make $100 million flipping houses, it doesn't work. And I talked to Alex and Layla Hermosi about that. I was like, hey, these are the industries that I'm in. What are your thoughts? And they said, these industries, if there's a graph, I don't know if there's a piece of paper in here. I'm going to grab a piece of paper. I just want you to see this because it made sense when they drew this out for me. So cash businesses like wholesaling, education, flipping houses. The life cycle goes like this, right? And then they kind of flatten. And then they die, right?
That's a like a flipping business.
Flipping, wholesaling.
So for the audience, it's like it goes
start here, it goes quickly,
quickly up, then it plateaus, and then it dies, right? Okay.
So reasons why it could die, right? What are some reasons it could die?
I mean, the market shifts, maybe the guy retires. The big thing too is the big thing too about for real estate for flipping is that it's not a sellable business. And so like I mean, so all my time I thought that it was sellable because like we have the NOI, we got infrastructure, we have team. But when I talked to Ryan, he's like, nobody buys a flipping business.
So there's market that can kill a business. They raise interest rates, people go bankrupt. It dies. Key man risk. If Daniel walks away, does this business keep going?
I see.
Can it keep going for 3 years? What do you think?
Well, I feel like my team could. I feel like because we have a great team, I feel like they could make it happen.
Do you think
most people can? I think.
Do you think it would go up or down?
It would take a hit until they would have to level themselves up.
So key man risk. Right. And if you think your business could keep going without you, that's great. Most flipping and wholesaling business can't. Right. And then flipping and wholesaling, once you get a deal, that's it. If I buy a home from a distressed homeowner, I bought it, that's it. There's no reoccurring. I'm never going to work. I'm only as good as my next month.
And that's the one challenge too, is because you don't have repeat customers, or like it's like every deal you get is like a new acquisition.
Exactly. So he drew this on a board in front of everyone. He was like, these businesses, they go like this, you know, they start.
The good thing about it is like it's so easy to get into, right? The barrier to entry is like,
that's why it's like this.
From W2 to massive success is like
quick.
Real estate is like, boom, we can get you there.
It's great. So. There's nothing wrong with real estate. But we got to look at exit strategy at some point.
Sure.
So then, regular service-based business, he drew it like this, right? You start, it gets a bump, and then it goes down. You're trying to figure it out. And then at some point, you get exponential growth, and then it just goes through the roof, right? So you start, you get a bump, you get the launch, you get the first customers, the easy family referrals, all this crap. You know, you're going to take a hit, try to go down. And then once you get above like a $1 million EBITDA on a reoccurring service-based business, the value goes through the roof. So this business is sellable and could become passive. This business usually cannot. And it's not passive.
Just to show like the audience, right? So can you explain it holding like this? So.
Holding it like this. So this is the flipping and wholesaling business. Quick start, exponentially, really fast. And then you find a cap. And then it dies. At some point, rather you just give up, the market, whatever. Service-based business, you get a bump in the beginning because you're gonna get, you know, your friends and family that are gonna support you. You get the easy sales, and then you know things are gonna go down. You're gonna figure it out. But once you hit a certain threshold point, it exponentially grows. So like I've had friends that had service-based service-based business, and they don't do marketing.
Because like they're recurring customers on their product. And so how Hermosi talks about product like can sell itself. For as a flipper, that doesn't apply to us, right? But like because we don't really have like a recurring product that can like get repeat business.
If you look at like let's just say a CPA company, like people have to file their taxes. And good for them. We have to file it every year. It's not I filed my taxes and I'm good for the next decade. It's like every freaking year it's a problem. And they can add more services. We're going to file for you and we'll do your bookkeeping and we'll make your LLCs, you know.
You can add on things to it.
You can add on things. So once you get a certain amount of clients, you know you got 100K coming in every year. Like you already know. You have those clients that are going to come.
It's almost a guarantee. As long as you're not like a terrible product, right? As long as
exactly.
Decent, so.
But your main thing is not marketing.
Yeah.
Your main thing is like servicing and then getting referrals.
This is super interesting because like a terrible business is like you have a trash product, right? And so you're super good at marketing and sales. So you're pulling in customers, they get a trash product and they're out. So there's no recurring, right? So like you're constantly churning, right? So like it's this is like if you have like let's say like a terrible, let's say like you sell like bed sheets or whatever, and they're
or
all
wholesaling.
No, so that's what my point is. So like if you have like a product where it's like it's just trash, right? Like let's say bed sheets, you're selling bed sheets and
they're itchy.
Like you're super good at marketing, so they're coming by, this is terrible, I'm never gonna buy this again, right? Then like you're constantly spending money on the marketing and sales just to get over. But then like your point, it's exactly what flipping and wholesaling is. It's like you spend all this time and energy on the marketing things. That's where all of the effort is spent. You do one deal and then like you sell the house and then like, you're back to the top again. Like there's no repeat business on this thing.
That's and then flipping and wholesaling is great for anyone listening. I'll tell you this list, like real estate investing has changed my life. For sure.
You know, I mean like the flipping, burring, all these different things. Like from when I was from a W-2, I think the beauty of a real estate is like, and maybe being a realtor is like anybody can do it.
Yes.
And the ceiling is so much higher than like let's say a W-2 job.
Yes.
But at the same time, like once you reach a certain threshold, the next step up is small business. Small
business or just rentals.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the equivalent, the reoccurring revenue that comes in.
Yeah.
That is where the rental properties come in.
That makes sense.
You see,
okay.
It goes in a circle.
So I mean that makes sense. But the thing is also actually, so I mean, so in real estate investing and flipping and wholesaling, this is the rental right here.
Yeah, you buy it cash flows,
or negative cash flow stuff.
And then at some
rent
point,
goes up, equity gets paid off. Like you get this whole chunk.
And then at some point, when you truly have 20K net coming in, now you could reinvest into more rental properties, which exponentially grow.
Yeah.
So the transition's there.
That's so interesting.
Isn't that funny?
That's so
it's so basic, but it's so like.
I mean, I've never heard it put that way before. So like I'm reanalyzing my life right now.
You're like, all right, guys, we're going to the Midwest. We're buying rental properties and laundromats.
What's really sad is because, so I mean, like, I got some advice to like just sell all my rentals to focus on flipping. So I literally just sold like my portfolio in Indy.
All of it?
Yeah, because I was like, dude. Well, part of it too is like I just want to focus. As part of this focus because like I don't want to like have to like think about this like for our bookkeeping or whatever. I was like, and let's capture that equity that I got there and like roll it into our business. So, but I mean, like, the other thought is, but we are buying like large commercial and like we have like some buy and hold and things. And so part of it too is like rolling up like the little small equities and putting it into like a bigger equity.
And so truthfully, I sold a few of my rentals this year, but they were not performing. And they were just terrible products like ghetto beat up houses
that's not going to appreciate or give you like the big ROI later and so
or they were in Joshua Tree, which is like a depreciating market and they're not cash flowing and I'm just like want to get out of the Airbnb dependent space so because Airbnb is its own business so I'm going to drive across the country this year and I'm going to find a market that I like. You sold everything in Kansas City?
No, Indianapolis. Because I had all singles in Indianapolis.
Oh, single families.
Yeah.
But how many did you sell?
6.
Okay, and they were cheap?
I mean, like 150 to 180 exits.
Yeah, those are really cheap. Yeah. So that's not bad. You didn't sell your big commercial in Kansas?
So I mean, we love the commercial. And so like those are long-term plays, but like those are like keepers, I think, for the long haul.
Yeah.
But those would be like my small business rentals, I guess, if you look at the chart.
So that was fun.
Super, super interesting. I mean, I need to process this later. So we need to have like a 50-minute phone call every day so I can
how are we gonna do this?
But then I mean, so just going back to being a coach and seeing like investors and seeing these things, and so like as like there's just like you have like such a unique experience. I mean, perspective on just real estate investing and just success in general. I think just from seeing it on so many different levels. Yeah. So maybe like just like some advice that maybe like some unconventional advice that like not everybody has already said that that would be like a tweak for like how to become like successful as an investor, like as like
So I'll give a couple different ones. So number one, like social media is great.
Okay.
But you don't need to do social media to become a successful real estate investor. Some of the biggest investors that I know are not on social media.
Yeah, same.
Like I'm talking about monster.
Yeah, investors. Same.
They're not on social media. Yeah. So I'll coach students sometimes. I'm one-on-one coaching a couple in Louisville. Their name is Ben and Brooke. I really love them. They're such nice people. I'm only one-on-one coaching them because they're so freaking nice that I'm like, dude, I'll help you guys for sure. And you know, I was like, all right, quarterly goals. What were we doing? They're like, oh, we want to start a podcast. I was like, bro, you've closed like X many deals. Yeah. You need money. Yeah,
it's like the shiny object syndrome.
Shiny object syndrome. Like, no, don't do that. Just do this. So that's one. But you know, if you do social media, it can help. But I think there's a time and a place for it. And then you also have to like be self-reflective. If you could even do social media or if you even have enough to talk about. Like if you haven't done a deal, how many people are going to sit there and watch you like not do a deal for so long before they're like, all right. But I think other thing obviously that I spoke about was just like in order to be successful, you need to make sure your spirit is in the right place. I think like you could be successful and be unhappy and depressed and unfulfilled, but it's so much better when you're actually like happy.
You're enjoying the process.
Yeah, when you're enjoying the process and you're grateful and all these things. So take care of your spirit by going to church and reading the Bible and figuring out whatever you can do. Another thing, I think learning different hobbies or skills can feed your real estate business. Kind of like, you know how you knew PPC before you got into real estate, right?
Yeah.
Like learning these separate skills can exponentially help you so much that, you know, taking the time out of your day to learn Facebook ads or PPC or all these things, like
things that could like or sales process
or like really learning sales, like a sales process could exponentially grow your business. I think also with just like watching Ryan is not scared to fail. And I think so many people are scared to fail. They come up to me, they're like, hey, Brian, I'm thinking about doing PPC or texting. I've been thinking about it for 2 months. I'm like, bro, just do it. Whatever you think. And it goes to us too, because we think about shit all the time.
The same thing is happening to me right now. I'm trying to like, with my fun, I'm like, it's stupid. I'm like, I'm in my feelings and in my head. I'm like, I just got to do it. Like, it's stupid.
Exactly. So no matter what level, that uncertainty and making you wait, like, should I do this or should I invest in Kansas City or St. Louis? Do them both. Like, just literally try both and see which one happens first. And then if it doesn't work, sell them. Like, literally, that I get that all day at WealthCon. People are like, I'm thinking about doing this and I'm thinking about doing that. It's like, don't think about it. Just literally do it. And if it fails, like we know things that Ryan have done that has failed.
Yeah.
But guess what? After failure, you don't die.
Yeah, but then that's what caused you to. It's like the thing is like you need the failures in order to have like the winners, right?
Exactly.
You got 10 lines out here, and so like if you just like I'm too scared, I'm only gonna pick the line that's gonna win for sure. then no 10 lines gonna go out.
Exactly.
Like I'm just gonna throw 10 lines out, 2 of them are gonna be stinkers, and 8 are gonna be successful.
Exactly.
Like, you need that, right?
Yeah. So be willing to just try stuff and don't be afraid if it fails. It's okay if it fails. But yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if people want to reach out and find you, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Just go to Instagram at the Brian Divila and send me a DM and we'll chat.
Awesome. Well, thank you, bro.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I know you're busy.
No,
I know you
super good.
And all types of
But you're important to me, bro.
Yeah. Just to let you know, I was super busy and I moved a couple of appointments.
Thank you. Thank you.